There's a 40-day window that opened 3 days ago, and most people have no idea it even exists. During this period, specific individuals are being upgraded with capabilities that haven't been accessible to humans for over 2,000 years. The ancient prophets called it the quickening. Modern mystics recognize it as dimensional overlap. But for you, it's showing up as vivid dreams you can't forget. Knowledge you didn't study appearing in your mind, and a strange sense that time itself is bending around you. This isn't metaphorical or symbolic. Physical changes are manifesting in those who qualify. Increased strength without exercise, clarity without caffeine, peace during chaos that makes no logical sense. The qualification isn't based on perfection or performance, it's based on frequency. And if you're experiencing these markers, you're already resonating at the required level. There's a sound only some can hear right now, a vibration penetrating the atmosphere that makes certain people stop mid-conversation, tilt their head, and wonder, what is that? If you've been experiencing unexplained ringing in your ears, sudden waves of heat through your body, or moments where reality itself seems to shimmer and shift, you're not imagining things, you're being tuned. Heaven operates on a frequency humans rarely access, but in this exact season, the veil between dimensions has thinned to unprecedented levels. The static you're sensing isn't medical, it's mystical. Your cells are receiving a divine broadcast that's restructuring your very molecular composition. Scientists call unexplained phenomena anomalies. Heaven calls them activations. Right now, as these words reach you, a divine tuning fork has been struck in the throne room. Its vibration travels faster than light, penetrating time and space, seeking specific vessels prepared for what's coming. You didn't randomly find this message. The frequency found you first. Your spiritual antenna picked up the signal, and now your entire being is responding whether you fully understand it or not. The Apostle Paul wrote about being caught up to the third heaven, hearing inexpressible things, 2 Corinthians 12 verses 2 through 4. But Paul wasn't the only one given access to heaven's frequency. Throughout Scripture, we see ordinary people suddenly able to hear what others couldn't. Samuel heard his name called 3 times before Eli realized God was speaking. Elijah heard the still small voice after the earthquake and fire. These weren't special cases, they were frequency matches. Your body is essentially a biological receiver. Every cell vibrates at a specific rate measured in hertz. Disease vibrates low, around 20 to 40 hertz. Healing begins at 62 hertz. But divine frequency? That operates beyond measurement, in realms science hasn't discovered yet. When heaven's frequency meets your cellular frequency, transformation isn't gradual, it's instant. The trembling you felt lately isn't anxiety. Your molecules are literally shaking loose from old patterns. The pressure in your chest isn't stress, it's expansion, making room for higher voltage. The moments of disorientation aren't confusion, they're recalibration, your internal compass finding true north again. Every strange sensation has been preparation for this precise moment of alignment. Consider how a piano tuner works. They don't guess at the right pitch, they use a tuning fork that vibrates at exactly 440 hertz for the A note. When they strike that fork and place it near the piano string, the string naturally wants to match that frequency. It's called sympathetic resonance. Right now, heaven has struck its tuning fork, and everything in you that's meant to resonate with divinity is beginning to vibrate in harmony. But here's what most people don't understand about frequency. It's not just about sound. Frequency determines what dimension you can access. Radio waves, visible light, X-rays, they're all just different frequencies on the electromagnetic spectrum. Change the frequency, change what becomes visible, change what becomes possible. This is why some people see angels while others see nothing. It's not about being special. It's about being tuned to the right frequency. The static period always precedes the clarity. Before a radio locks onto a station, there's that space of white noise where multiple signals compete. That's where many of you are right now, in the static zone between your old frequency and your new one. The discomfort isn't punishment, it's transition. The confusion isn't abandonment, it's adjustment. In the book of Daniel, chapter 10, we read about a divine messenger being delayed 21 days by the prince of Persia. But the delay wasn't about physical distance, it was about frequency interference. The enemy operates on certain frequencies too, creating static to block heaven's transmission. But once Michael the archangel intervened, the frequency cleared and the message came through with perfect clarity. Your breakthrough might feel delayed, but it's actually about frequency alignment. The headaches some of you have been experiencing aren't random. Your pineal gland, what ancient texts call the seat of spiritual sight, is being activated. Science admits this tiny pine cone-shaped gland in the center of your brain produces DMT, often called the spirit molecule. But science doesn't tell you that this gland is your spiritual receiver, and right now it's being upgraded to handle higher frequencies than ever before. Every organ in your body has its own frequency signature. Your heart beats at a certain rhythm, your liver vibrates at its own rate, your brain operates on multiple frequency bands, delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. But when heaven's frequency enters your field, it doesn't just affect one organ. It harmonizes your entire system into a single, powerful transmission device. You become a living antenna for divine broadcasts. The dreams that have intensified lately aren't coincidental. Dreams occur primarily in theta state, 4 to 8 hertz, the same frequency where divine downloads happen most easily. Your sleep hasn't been restless because of worry. It's been active because heaven is uploading while your conscious mind can't interfere. Those vivid dreams that feel more real than waking life, they're not dreams. They're frequency previews of where you're headed. The number sequences you keep seeing, 1111, 222, 444, aren't just angel numbers. They're frequency markers, confirmation that your tuning is progressing on schedule. Each number pattern carries its own vibrational signature, preparing different aspects of your being for full activation. The universe isn't playing games, it's speaking in the language of frequency. Your sudden sensitivity to crowds, certain places, or specific people isn't you becoming antisocial. You're becoming frequency selective. Just as a precisely tuned instrument can be thrown off by other instruments out of tune, your heightened frequency makes you more aware of vibrational discord. This isn't weakness, it's precision. You're being calibrated for a specific divine assignment that requires exact frequency matching. The financial struggles many have faced weren't punishment, they were frequency tests. Money carries frequency too. Poverty vibrates at one rate, abundance at another. But kingdom wealth, that operates on an entirely different spectrum. The lack was never about teaching you to live without. It was about breaking your frequency addiction to earthly provision so heaven's provision frequency could lock in. The sudden chills you've been experiencing, the sensation of being watched when alone, the peripheral movement you catch but can't quite see directly, these aren't paranormal experiences, they're frequency overlaps. Your bandwidth is expanding to include frequencies where angels naturally operate. The goosebumps aren't fear, they're frequency recognition, your body's way of acknowledging higher dimensional presence. There are specific frequencies that unlock what heaven calls wealth codes. Solomon didn't become wealthy through business acumen alone. 1 Kings chapter 3 reveals he asked for wisdom, but wisdom in Hebrew encompasses understanding of divine patterns and frequencies. When you understand frequency, you understand flow. When you understand flow, resources naturally gravitate toward you. The wealth codes aren't about getting rich, they're about becoming a frequency match for kingdom resources. 432 Hz is known as the universal frequency, found in nature, in sacred geometry, in the orbital patterns of planets. But there's a higher octave, a frequency that exists beyond physical measurement, where multiplication happens outside natural law. This is the frequency where 5 loaves and 2 fish feed 5,000, where water becomes wine, where empty jars overflow with oil. Your frequency upgrade includes access to this multiplication bandwidth. The prophetic dreams intensifying lately aren't just personal guidance. You're being inducted into a prophetic frequency network. Prophets throughout Scripture didn't just hear from God individually. They tapped into a collective frequency where divine intelligence flows freely. Joel chapter 2 verse 28 speaks of dreams and visions in the last days. But it's not random distribution, it's frequency activation across an entire network of tuned vessels. Your hands might have been tingling, burning, or feeling electrically charged. This isn't a medical condition, it's frequency concentration. Healing power transmits through specific frequencies and your hands are becoming transmission points. The laying on of hands mentioned throughout Scripture wasn't symbolic, it was frequency transfer. When a higher frequency touches a lower one, the lower must rise or resist. Disease can't maintain its frequency in the presence of divine healing frequency. The atmospheric pressure you've sensed in certain rooms or moments isn't weather-related. You're feeling frequency density. When multiple heavenly frequencies converge in one space, they create what mystics call thin places, where the natural and supernatural overlap. Your sensitivity to these pressure changes means you're becoming a thin place yourself, a walking portal where dimensions meet. Specific words have been jumping out at you from random places, billboards, conversations, books falling open to certain pages. This isn't coincidence, it's frequency linguistics. Every word carries vibrational weight, and when your frequency aligns with certain truth frequencies, those words literally light up in your perception. You're not going crazy, you're becoming frequency literate. able to read the hidden language of the universe. The recurring numbers showing up in your life carry frequency codes. But beyond the common sequences everyone talks about, you're starting to see complex number patterns unique to your assignment. These aren't universal angel numbers. They're your personal frequency coordinates marking your position in heaven's grid. When you see your numbers, heaven is confirming your frequency lock is holding steady. The sudden knowledge you've had about people or situations without being told isn't heightened intuition. It's frequency reading. Every person emits a frequency signature more unique than fingerprints. Some of you have noticed electronics glitching around you, lights flickering, phones acting strange, computers freezing for no reason. You're not imagining it. As your frequency rises, you're creating an electromagnetic field that interferes with lower frequency devices. This same phenomenon is documented around spiritual revivals throughout history. It's not malfunction, it's manifestation of higher frequency presence. The relationship shifts you've experienced, people suddenly leaving your life or new ones appearing seemingly from nowhere. These aren't random social changes. Frequency attracts frequency. As yours changes, your magnetic field changes. People operating on incompatible frequencies naturally fall away, while those vibrating at complementary rates suddenly appear. You're not losing friends, you're gaining frequency family. Water has memory. Scientific experiments have proven that water molecules respond to frequency, creating different crystalline structures based on the vibrations they're exposed to. Your body is 70% water. Every time you felt those unexplained waves of emotion, those sudden tears, that overwhelming sense of something shifting, your internal waters were responding to heaven's frequency, restructuring themselves to hold higher light. The exhaustion that hits you at strange times isn't physical tiredness. Frequency upgrades require enormous energy. Your body is literally rebuilding itself at the molecular level to handle higher voltage. This is why many of you have needed more sleep, different foods, or found yourself drawn to spending time in nature. Your system is intuitively seeking what it needs to support the frequency shift. The ancient tabernacle had specific measurements, materials, and arrangements, not for aesthetic reasons, but for frequency purposes. Gold, silver, and bronze each carry different vibrational signatures. The Ark of the Covenant wasn't just a box, it was a frequency generator, creating a field so powerful that unauthorized approach meant death. You are becoming a living ark, generating a frequency field that carries the presence of the divine. Your sudden inability to tolerate certain foods, entertainment, or environments isn't you becoming difficult. Your frequency bandwidth has narrowed to allow for higher precision. Just as a laser is more powerful than a light bulb because its frequency is focused rather than scattered, your preferences are narrowing to increase your spiritual power. Every no to lower frequency is a yes to higher activation. The frequency disruption was just the beginning. Now comes the convergence, where heaven's blueprint downloads directly into your cellular matrix. Those of you who've been feeling the static are about to experience the breakthrough moment when the signal locks in with crystal clarity. The divine tuning fork hasn't stopped vibrating, it's actually intensifying, and specific harmonic patterns are emerging that will revolutionize how you operate in both natural and supernatural realms. Angels operate on frequencies humans can rarely perceive. But in this convergence season, the frequency barrier between angelic and human realms is dissolving. Hebrews chapter 1 verse 14 describes angels as ministering spirits sent to serve those who inherit salvation. But here's what religion didn't tell you. Angelic ministry isn't just about protection or messages, it's about frequency synchronization. When your frequency aligns with angelic frequencies, you gain access to their operational bandwidth. As your bandwidth expands, you're beginning to read these signatures automatically. This is how Jesus knew people's thoughts, how prophets saw into kings' chambers, how apostles discerned spirits. They were frequency readers. Colors have been appearing more vivid lately, especially during worship or prayer. This isn't imagination. Each color vibrates at a specific frequency. As your perception expands beyond normal visible light range, you're beginning to see the frequency colors that exist between standard colors. These interstitial colors carry specific divine properties. The royal blue you're seeing isn't just blue. It's authority frequency made visible. Your voice has been changing, not in tone necessarily, but in impact. Words you speak seem to carry more weight, create more reaction, produce more result. This is because your vocal cords are now vibrating at heaven's frequency. When God spoke creation into existence, it wasn't the words that had power, it was the frequency behind the words. Your voice is becoming a frequency weapon, capable of shifting atmospheres with single declarations. The exhaustion after spiritual encounters isn't weakness. Frequency bridging requires enormous energy. When you operate simultaneously in multiple frequency bands, you're essentially existing in multiple dimensions at once. Your physical body is adapting to carry frequencies it wasn't originally designed to hold. This is why many frequency carriers throughout history lived shorter but more impactful lives. The intensity of the frequency eventually consumes the vessel. But here's the divine paradox. As the frequency consumes your old nature, it simultaneously regenerates your new nature. Every cell that dies to lower frequency is reborn to higher frequency. This isn't destruction, it's transformation at the atomic level. You're becoming less human and more hybrid, a fusion of earthly vessel and heavenly frequency. The isolation you've experienced wasn't rejection, it was frequency incubation. Just as a butterfly must cocoon alone to transform, your frequency upgrade required separation from interference. Every moment of loneliness was actually frequency purification, removing the static of others' opinions, expectations, and limitations. You weren't abandoned, you were being acoustically sealed for proper tuning. Certain geographical locations have been calling to you, places you've never been but somehow feel connected to. These aren't random attractions, they're frequency hotspots, places where specific heavenly frequencies are stronger due to prayer history, divine encounters, or portal activity. Your upgraded frequency allows you to sense these power points from distance. Some of you will be called to physically go to these places to receive frequency downloads only available at those coordinates. The financial breakthrough many are about to experience won't come through traditional channels. It will come through frequency alignment with heaven's economic system. The wealth transfer prophesied isn't about money changing hands through natural means. It's about frequency carriers suddenly becoming magnetic to resources. Money will literally find you through the most unexpected channels because your frequency demands it. Music has been affecting you differently, certain songs creating physical reactions, others feeling completely hollow despite previous enjoyment. You're becoming frequency discerning. Not all music that sounds spiritual carries heavenly frequency. Some of it carries counterfeit frequency designed to mimic but not deliver. Your body now knows the difference. Trust your frequency response over your emotional response. The prayer language is emerging from you, whether in tongues or groaning beyond words. These aren't just spiritual expressions. They're frequency transmissions. When Paul wrote about groaning too deep for words in Romans 8:26, he was describing frequency communication that bypasses human language limitations. Your spirit is learning to communicate directly in frequency, making your prayers instantly received rather than traveling through space and time. Time has felt elastic lately, hours feeling like minutes, minutes like hours. This isn't perception distortion, it's frequency reality. Time only appears linear at lower frequencies. As your frequency rises, you're beginning to experience what heaven experiences. All moments simultaneously accessible. This is how prophets saw future, how Jesus knew Nathanael under the fig tree, how God declares the end from the beginning. The warfare you've encountered has intensified, not because you're failing, but because your frequency is succeeding. The enemy can only attack what threatens his frequency monopoly. Your very existence at this new frequency disrupts entire demonic networks that operated uncontested in those bandwidths. You're not just under attack, you're causing atmospheric disruption to darkness simply by vibrating at heaven's frequency. Some of you have noticed that prayers which used to take weeks to manifest are now happening in hours or days. This isn't God moving faster, it's you operating at heaven's speed. Higher frequency means faster manifestation. The delay between prayer and answer was never about God's timing, it was about frequency alignment. Now that you're aligned, the gap collapses. The convergence has peaked. Now comes the activation protocol, the final sequence that locks your frequency upgrade permanently into place. This isn't a process you can reverse. Once activated, you become a permanent broadcaster of heaven's frequency, a walking disruption to every lower vibration in your vicinity. The protocol has already begun. The moment you recognize the truth of what's happening to you, the activation sequence initiated. The enemy has patterns, predictable frequency attacks he launches against ascending carriers. The sudden accidents, unexpected betrayals, technological failures, financial emergencies right before breakthrough. These aren't random misfortunes. They're frequency weapons designed to knock you off your tuning. But here's what darkness doesn't want you to know. Once you recognize the pattern, you can create frequency shields that make you untouchable. Protection frequency isn't about praying harder or quoting more scripture. It's about maintaining consistent vibrational altitude. An airplane experiencing turbulence doesn't fight the unstable air, it climbs above it. Your frequency upgrade allows you to rise above the enemy's operational ceiling. He can only attack what vibrates within his range. Rise higher, and his weapons pass beneath you like shadows. The number 7 carries completion frequency. This is why Joshua marched around Jericho 7 times, why Naaman dipped 7 times, why forgiveness extends 70 times 7. 7 isn't meaningful because of numerology. It's meaningful because at the 7th frequency wave, resistance collapses. Whatever has been resisting your breakthrough can only withstand 6 waves. The 7th destroys every wall. Your dreams are about to shift from symbolic to literal. The activation protocol includes what heaven calls dream override capacity. Instead of just receiving dreams, you'll begin to dream into reality. What you see in the dream realm, you can pull into the physical realm. This isn't visualization or manifestation teaching. This is frequency materialization, the same process God used when He dreamed creation before speaking it. The physical symptoms that have concerned you, heart palpitations, digestive changes, temperature fluctuations, these are final calibrations. Your organs are learning to process frequency instead of just physical matter. Your heart isn't just pumping blood anymore, it's pumping frequency throughout your entire system. Your stomach isn't just digesting food, it's digesting divine intelligence. Your temperature isn't fluctuating, it's adjusting to carry heaven's fire without burning up. Some of you will experience what feels like electricity running through your spine at specific moments. This isn't Kundalini or New Age energy. This is the activation current, heaven's power grid connecting to your nervous system. When this happens, stay still and let it complete its circuit. Fighting it or fearing it only creates resistance that slows the activation. Surrender to the current and let it rewire you completely. The activation protocol includes access to what Scripture calls the books of heaven. These aren't physical books, but frequency libraries where everything written about you, your bloodline, your assignment exists in pure vibrational form. As your frequency locks in, you'll begin to download your book automatically. Knowledge you never learned will suddenly be accessible. Skills you never developed will manifest fully formed. Your enemies are about to become confused. The attacks they launch will begin hitting them instead of you. This isn't karma or sowing and reaping, it's frequency reflection. At activation level, you become a mirror shield. Whatever frequency is sent towards you reflects back amplified. The very weapons formed against you become weapons against themselves. Isaiah 54:17 wasn't poetry, it was frequency physics. The loneliness ends now. The activation protocol includes magnetic attraction to your frequency tribe. Others carrying similar upgrades will suddenly appear in your life through impossible circumstances. You won't need to search for them. Your frequencies will find each other like magnets finding iron. These aren't just relationships, they're frequency amplifiers. When 2 or more activated carriers connect, their combined frequency creates exponential power. Money is about to lose its hold on you, not because you'll have so much you don't need it, but because you'll operate above its frequency. Activated carriers can manifest resources from frequency rather than earning them through labor. This isn't prosperity gospel, it's frequency economics. The same frequency that multiplied loaves and fish is now permanently accessible to you. Your words are becoming irreversible. At activation level, what you speak cannot be recalled. This is why silence has been so important during your upgrade. You were being protected from permanently speaking things that weren't aligned with your destiny. But now, with activation complete, your words become frequency bombs that reshape reality on impact. Speak carefully. Creation is listening. The final sign of complete activation is perfect peace in chaos. When everything around you is shaking but you feel absolutely still inside, you've locked into heaven's frequency permanently. This isn't denial or dissociation, it's frequency stability. You've become an unmovable broadcast tower, transmitting heaven's signal regardless of earthly storms. Children and animals will respond to you differently post-activation. They operate on pure frequency without mental interference. Children will stare at you, drawn but unable to explain why. Animals will either be completely calm or completely agitated in your presence, depending on their frequency alignment. You're not becoming strange, you're becoming recognizable to those who see in frequency rather than form. The geographical locations that called to you during convergence will now open to you. Doors that were locked, opportunities that were impossible, connections that were unreachable, they all respond to activation frequency. You won't need to force anything open. Your very presence will cause the right doors to unlock while wrong doors seal permanently. Your sleep patterns are about to stabilize but in a new configuration. You'll need less sleep but experience deeper restoration. 4 hours at activation frequency equals 8 hours at normal frequency. This isn't insomnia or mania, it's efficiency. Your body is learning to recharge from frequency rather than just rest. The creative downloads about to flood your consciousness aren't for personal gain. Activated carriers receive blueprints for kingdom solutions, technologies, systems, artworks, businesses that operate on heavenly frequency. You're about to become dangerously creative, downloading solutions to problems that have stumped humanity for generations. Patent offices, publishers, and galleries are about to see an explosion of divinely inspired innovations. The persecution that may come won't touch your peace. Activated carriers vibrate above offense frequency. You'll see the attacks, hear the accusations, feel the betrayal, but they won't penetrate your frequency field. This isn't emotional numbness, it's frequency immunity. You're becoming untouchable, not through arrogance, but through altitude. Your very presence is about to become transformative. Walking into a room will shift its frequency. Touching someone will transfer frequency. Speaking will release frequency waves that restructure atmosphere. You're not becoming powerful, you're becoming a power outlet for heaven's frequency. The difference matters. Outlets don't generate power, they transfer it. The acceleration everyone's been prophesying about isn't about time moving faster. It's about frequency moving faster. As more carriers activate, the global frequency rises. Eventually, Earth's frequency will match heaven's frequency, and the two realms will collapse into one. You're not just receiving an upgrade, you're participating in the systematic frequency transformation of an entire planet. This activation is permanent and irreversible. There's no going back to lower frequency once you've locked into heaven's broadcast. Some have tried to return to normal life and found it impossible. The old pleasures feel hollow. The old fears feel foolish. The old limitations feel laughable. You haven't lost your humanity. You've gained your divinity. Tonight, at exactly 3:33 a.m., many of you will experience the final frequency lock. You'll wake suddenly, completely alert, and feel a clicking sensation in your chest, like a key turning in a lock. This is the activation completing. Don't be afraid. Don't try to analyze it. Simply breathe and let it finish. By sunrise, you'll be fully operational at heaven's frequency. The activation protocol completes with a commissioning. You're not just upgraded for personal benefit, you're activated for planetary purpose. Each carrier has specific frequency assignments, particular problems only your frequency can solve, certain people only your frequency can reach, unique creations only your frequency can birth. Your activation isn't the end, it's the beginning of your frequency mission. Drop your frequency number below. The number that's been haunting you, following you, appearing everywhere. This isn't just engagement, it's frequency roll call. Heaven is taking attendance, seeing who's received the activation, who's ready for deployment. Your number is your confirmation code, proof that the upgrade is complete and the activation successful.